Well, for the latest on the situation there, let's bring in France 24's Anthony Mills in Vienna. Anthony, some new details have come out on the attacker who was killed by the police. What more can you tell us about him?
That's right. Contrary to speculation in some quarters, it appears as though he was not a migrant, but somebody who was born in Vienna and may have had links to North Macedonia and had become radicalized here in Austria. He, according to the Interior Ministry, the attacker was an Islamic radical, a radical Islamicist. The Interior Ministry not confirming those details that I mentioned just before, which have been reported in the Austrian media, but saying that they believed that he had sympathies for Islamic State. The media also reporting that he may have been stopped on his way to try to travel to Syria a few years ago, but that it was felt that he didn't present the kind of threat that might culminate in an attack. So that's some of the things that we're hearing about the attacker who was shot dead in the early stages of the attack yesterday after a brief time by armed police units. As for the second attacker you mentioned, it's not entirely clear at this stage if there is a second attacker. For quite a while, the authorities here were saying that they believed that there were several attackers. Then word was that they were pursuing a second attacker. And now they're slightly more ambivalent about it. They say that there may well have been additional attackers, but they're talking about at least one Islamist attacker, the details of whom are starting slowly to be reported on, but the authorities here still quite tight-lipped, saying they simply believe that he was an Islamist radical.
Anthony, this attack happened last night around 8 p.m. local time, just a few hours before a new lockdown was set to begin, a coronavirus lockdown. How have people there been reacting to all of this morning?
The whole thing has come as an extraordinary shock. And if you look at the testimony of people who were either swept up in it or who obviously were following it through the media or on social media, it really is a feeling of shock. First of all, of course, Austria buffeted in recent weeks by the resurgent coronavirus. And indeed, as you say, entered lockdown last night at midnight with hospital admissions rising, intensive care cases rising, and indeed deaths rising. So already buffeted by that. And maybe that's why people were out trying to make the most of the last few hours before that lockdown came into effect at midnight, under which all cafes, bars and restaurants have to be closed for a month. So in that neighborhood, right in the core first district, an old district in the middle of Vienna, they were full, the cafes, the bars were full, and people had spilled out onto the sidewalks, onto the cobbled streets, because, of course, it was also very warm. So out of nowhere then, at approximately 8 p.m., this attack started unfolding. As you say, at least 4 civilians killed, and that has really created a sense of shock among the inhabitants of Vienna and across the country as they awoke this morning to the realization that this is, in some ways, a massive double blow. On the one hand, the coronavirus resurgent, and on the other, a brutal attack that, while many may have not considered possible, most people were certainly not expecting it.
Anthony, thank you for that. Anthony Mills reporting for us there from Vienna.